Good morning, everybody. It's been a few days since my last upload on YouTube. Just picking up from where I was last time. If you remember, I was sort of having some changes of plan on the type of vehicle I was looking for. Previously, I was going to go down the stealth route, panel van, sort of 4.2 metre Sprinter, Iveco, high roof type of thing. And just mainly because in the UK you sort of parking is pretty limited, and anybody that's sort of parked up in a motorhome, if you're in the sort of the towns and suburbs inland, on the coast, obviously it's a different story. People expect to see such vehicles, motorhomes and such like, so seeing them parked up is just normal. You expect to see a motorhome parked up on the getting as close as they can to the beach, being wants to park as close as they can legally, and I think people that live in them areas expect that. And obviously there's a battle then between the local residents and the motorhomes and the council on where you can and can't park. But when you go inland into cities, it's a very different story. It's, you know, you sort of think about, if you're full-time, what you're going to be doing, and your income, etc. And obviously where you want to spend your time. I mean, I'm a gym member. It's a couple of actually different types of gym places, ironically, because in different places of the country. And you can't park outside of them because they obviously lease land, and there's 3-hour limits and such like, and there's a short distance to walk. But you're mainly in deprived areas, so in inner cities, some of them. And the better ones, the more upmarket towns and cities, obviously have parking restrictions. So it can be difficult parking somewhere. You think, oh, hang on, how difficult can it be to park somewhere? And it's not just the length of the vehicle. That's not really the issue. But you actually go around and you think to yourself, right, and you try and say, well, I'm going to park here for a day or overnight. In reality, you'll find that it's very, very difficult. You're going to be either a situation where you're in a residential street with no parking restrictions at all, which seems fine, but because when you parked outside somebody's house on a street with two properties either side, people are going to notice that that van is an unusual vehicle. It's not normally parked there. So parking a motorhome in them situations looks bizarre. The only thing you can think of is that people are visiting friends and family. So you might get away with that for a night or two. But if you're in a stealth van and people know that you're in a stealth van, then they're going to be even more suspicious. Laybys are great, but there's a issue at the moment with restrictions on laybys, with limits. Obviously car parking, any sort of private car parking, a supermarket car park or a council car park have got limits. So they're tricky. Things like motorway service stations are completely out of the questions. So you're pretty much left with things like industrial estates, or another good one. If you can get into an industrial estate, there's no parking, because what you tend to find in industrial estates is that there's large goods vehicles that are from all over Europe parked there because they want to find somewhere to park themselves, but also that they want to, they might need to unload at that location the following morning. And they can get quite noisy, and at the end of the day, when you think about it logically, do you want to full time on an industrial estate? Well, the answer is probably no. What I want to do is go to a lot of, no disrespect to industrial estates, more interesting places. And that basically, you're going to include obviously big cities and interested areas, and obviously friends and families, but it's going to be mainly, if we're honest about it, it's going to be mainly the UK coastline, or it's going to be, for me, the rest of Europe, France and Spain in particular, during the winter months. So really, the choice of vehicle is quite important. I mentioned earlier about going to France, and when I was into France, if I was aboard full time, there wouldn't be an issue. It'd be a motorhome all the way, probably a 7-metre thing, coach built, equivalent to what you call an A-class in the States. And because it's the only place to park in that land or on the coast, but not in the UK. So I'm revising it slightly. My Land Rover concept was a good one. The problem was, in the UK it didn't work because it was completely unstealth. Even though you didn't know anybody was in it or not, people just thought, that's bloody unusual. Noticed it, so it drew attention in that way because of the vehicle itself. Not that they knew there's somebody in it or not. So that I've had to sort of bin that idea, and obviously it's not big enough for Europe or full timing. So I've took the top off my Land Rover. You can remember actually seeing pictures of it, and now it's just my standard Land Rover, which is my everyday use vehicle. So when I'm looking now, part of me is thinking, well, I'll go down a long stealth route, and just sort of kit it out inside the way you want it to be, and then just park accordingly, which is probably going to be the best option. And that way then, wherever I go to, whatever I'm doing, from a security point it's going to be safer because I can put a bulk head in, but I can go into that into future videos. But I'm really struggling at the moment to think about the right type of vehicle, and every time I think of a vehicle that seems to be the right option, I do a little bit of research in it, and I kind of think myself out of that vehicle. So going to have to make some decisions shortly. On to the 6.5 minutes now, so I'm going to cut this short. So I'm going to do more updates on a regular basis. I've watched far more videos on YouTube than I actually put up myself, obviously. So lots of changes. I'm making big decisions on contractual things, what I do with my property, whether I rent all of it out, how much time I want to spend abroad. I'm currently working full time for a big company, and they obviously want me to stay, but I don't know what I want to do. Obviously there's implications there financially of leaving. I've got a business model for working full time, which is my normal profession. That's an option, but there's lots of different things I've got to explore. But really, the main one for me is the vehicle and the type of vehicle. And if I went down the stealth route, it's going to obviously take time to put it together. A lot of people have a stealth vehicle, and then they sort of may buy a lower end financial spectrum caravan and strip it and use the caravan as the internal bits for the heating and the cupboards and that's a good option, because caravans are quite cheap to obtain and they just scrap the rest. The other option, you get lights and vents and such like. The other option is to just sort of have a van. Now in the UK, and if you know, there's sort of laws regarding sizes of vehicles, and what I'm going to do next is I'm going to hold this video up now. I'm going to upload this video now. I've got some data, and then I'm just going to discuss the reasons and rationales regarding the type of vehicle and why I want to choose them. Okay, any questions anybody got? Be good to hear from you.